Hello, Colorado Realtors. I'm Scott Peterson, and thank you for joining me for another edition of Legal Bites. So this is part two of a series, or only a two-part series, but of what I started in the last version of Legal Bites related to your regulatory framework and kind of who was who. And we went over the difference between DORA and the Division of Real Estate and the Real Estate Commission as three separate entities to be kind of thinking about and understanding. In this version, I want to talk to you a little bit about who you're going to call. I'll spare you the Ghostbusters song and dance. But when do you call the Division of Real Estate? So a lot of issues with this, and I want to make sure that you folks as realtors aren't straining or improperly straining the resources of the Division of Real Estate. So let me explain first of all, the Division of Real Estate, your licensing authority, is a cash-funded division. Well, what does that mean within the state? It means that they don't get money from the general fund of the state of Colorado. They're funded strictly through the fees and renewal fees and application fees, and they got to make their own money, and that's what their division is funded with. And so their resources are limited to that pile of money. What do you do when they need more money? They're going to have to raise fees. And so there's some self-interest for you as licensees to make sure that you're not improperly straining the resources of the division because, again, it's a cash-funded division. There are 44,000 real estate licensees, roughly approximately 44,000 real estate licensees in the state of Colorado. The division also administers mortgage loan originators. It handles the conservation easement program, also appraisers. But by far in the Division of Real Estate, the largest segment of licensees is clearly real estate brokers. So 44,000 licensees. Your renewals, really, it's pretty cheap to be a licensee in the state of Colorado. It's $128 for a 3-year renewal on your license. That's not too terribly expensive compared to a lot of other professions and occupations, a lot of other divisions, a lot of other states, and their broker license fees and license renewal fees and applications fees. So what am I trying to say? We're very, very lucky in the state of Colorado as real estate licensees. Our division is really efficiently run, at least from my perspective. Many of you are familiar with Marcia Waters, who's the executive director of the Division of Real Estate. She does a fantastic job of running a very tight ship, and her staff definitely does a very good job of running or helping her run a very tight ship. So it's a very efficient government agency. Well, they also are the recipient of a ton of phone calls, roughly 7,000 calls per month from consumers, from other licensees, a lot of inquiries. That's a pretty heavy-duty call center. 7,000 calls a month is awfully extensive. But guess what? A lot of those calls are completely inappropriate for the division. They can't do anything about them. So I want to talk just real quickly about what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate. So when you have questions about licensing or pre-licensing or continuing education or the new e-licensing system, and if you haven't signed up, you need to go and log in and you can create your account. And a lot of stuff that you couldn't do before online, you can now do online. So take advantage of the e-licensing program. I know the state spent a bunch of money getting their e-licensing up to speed, but if you've signed up and you've created your account, you can now do your renewals and a lot of the paperwork, change of license status, all of that stuff can be done online, and it's a lot more efficient for you, and it removes some of the strain in terms of resources on the division. So e-licensing questions, certainly division process and procedure questions, filing complaints, all of that can be done online as well. But those are the kinds of things that the Division of Real Estate can be contacted about. The vast majority of their calls, however, have to do with somebody wants a little bit of practice guidance. They're unsure about how to handle a certain contract situation. Maybe they need legal advice. Maybe they need, they're having issues with clients or deal issues, those kinds of things. Those kinds of questions can't even be answered by the division. The division is never going to provide any legal advice or legal information. They're not going to give you practice guidance. They're not going to give you, how to resolve a certain issue related to a deal. So don't call them for it. Use the resources that you have available to you. If you're an associate broker, you ought to be using your managing or employing broker, whoever is in charge, your senior broker, whoever you're reporting to. That ought to be who you're dealing with and asking questions of related to practice guidance or having issues with clients or having issues with deals, those kinds of things. utilize your managing broker. They've got a responsibility to provide supervisorial oversight over you, and you're paying, in most cases, a split or some portion of fees that you earn or desk fees to them. Use them. That's what they're there for. So make sure you're utilizing your employing or managing broker. If you have issues with deals, if you need access to the Car Legal Hotline. A Car Legal Hotline is available for managing brokers, employing brokers, and their designees. And so if your managing broker or employing broker wants to designate you to utilize the hotline and you're doing so with their knowledge, then you can be designated, you can get a hotline ID, and you can use it. But if not, then I love it as a hotline attorney, and I know the other attorneys on the hotline like it as well. When somebody, a managing broker, calls, has a broker in their office, they put them on speakerphone, and we talk through a legal issue, right? That's a resource for legal type information, assistance with deals, assistance understanding contracts, and working through transaction problems. That's a good resource and the way to use the Car Legal Hotline, and it's a free benefit of your membership. But the division is not the right resource for that. So I want to clarify that because, again, we are very fortunate to be the beneficiaries as licensees in this state of a very well-run and efficient division. But when their resources are strained through inappropriate inquiries and phone calls, it ultimately will fall back on us as licensees to probably bump up our licensing fees so the division can continue to handle that stuff. So be mindful of how you're using the Division of Real Estate as a resource for inquiries related to anything that they shouldn't be giving you guidance on. So anyhow, thanks for paying attention to this edition of Legal Bites. Always appreciate you tuning in. I do encourage you to use the hotline in conjunction with your managing or employing broker, or get them to designate you to use it as well. It is available. It's a free Colorado Realtor member resource, available 9 to 12 and 1 to 4 Monday through Friday. So please try and use it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.